Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through compelling sources to give you the insights you really need. Today, we're diving headfirst into a market that's, well, it's not just growing. It feels more like a quiet revolution, reflecting this massive global shift in priorities. Okay, let's unpack this. We're talking about the global environmental protection equipment market. Our insights today, they're powered by expert sources like Cognitive Market Research. So this gives us a really clear look at the underlying trends and, the sheer scale of this transformation. Our mission, to quickly get a handle on the size, the speed, and the specific geographic hotbeds where this market is expanding the fastest. And when we say environmental protection equipment, think everything. Advanced wastewater treatment, industrial air scrubbers, next-gen recycling stuff.
Right, and also smart sensors for monitoring pollution, components for renewable energy infrastructure. It's a wide net.
Exactly. Now, for the scale, get this. In 2021, this market was already worth over $100 billion. That's billion with a B. It's projected to hit more than $125 billion by 2025. And by 2033, we're looking at a staggering $197 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, nearly doubling in just over a decade. That's growing at an impressive average yearly rate, the CAGR of almost 5.8%.
What's truly fascinating here, and maybe less obvious just looking at the numbers, is that these aren't just abstract figures, They represent actual investment decisions, policy shifts, and frankly, a deep recognition of the urgent need for sustainable practices all across the globe.
So it's driven by need and opportunity.
Precisely. And to really understand where this momentum is building, we're going to break it down region by region. We won't just look at the numbers, but also the distinct drivers and sort of the implications behind them.
That's a great way to put it. Economic indicators as a pulse for global environmental action. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting as we zoom in. Let's kick things off with North America. So this region saw its market nearly $29 billion back in 2021, and it's set to almost double that, hitting over $54 billion by 2033. Now, within North America, the United States, it's leading the charge, projected to grow from around $22 billion to over $40 billion by 2033. But here's something interesting. Canada. It shows particularly aggressive growth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, projected to more than double its market size, from about $3.2 billion to over $6.6 billion. That's a CAGR over 6.2%.
So a higher percentage growth than the U.S., actually.
Exactly. And Mexico is also playing a significant role, expected to reach over $7 billion by 2033.
That aggressive growth in Canada, even outpacing the U.S. in percentage terms, that's really telling. It suggests, I think, a unique blend of national clean energy initiatives and proactive investments, especially in resource extraction industries where sustainability is becoming just paramount.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just about compliance anymore. It's more like a mature market actively pivoting its whole economic engine towards greener tech. And it demonstrates how industries can adapt through, innovation.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So North America's got this tech-driven growth, a push from established industries.
Right.
How does that stack up against Europe? What are the drivers there?
Well, if we connect this to Europe, it makes perfect sense that their growth, while steady, is built on a slightly different foundation, perhaps. Europe's market was around $19 billion in 2021, expected to reach over $35 billion by 2033. You have to remember, the continent has a long history, really, of pioneering environmental policies. Think about things like the European Green Deal. Ambitious targets.
Right, those are huge initiatives.
Exactly. And this data seems to indicate that those policies are translating directly into consistent, tangible market demand for the equipment you need to actually meet those goals. You see countries like the UK, Germany, France all showing robust contributions. France, actually, is seeing particularly strong growth, doubling its market to over $5 billion.
Doubling, wow.
Yeah. So it feels less like a sudden pivot like maybe we see elsewhere, and more about this deep, continuous integration of environmental tech into, existing industrial frameworks and urban planning. It's baked in, you could say.
Okay, so from Europe's more policy-driven evolution,
Yeah.
let's brace ourselves for Asia-Pacific, because this region is, frankly, a powerhouse in this sector.
Oh, absolutely.
Asia-Pacific commanded a market size of nearly $40 billion in 2021, and it's projected to just skyrocket to over $82 billion by 2033. That's an impressive TGAR of nearly 6.4%.
Huge numbers.
Huge. China remains the undeniable leader here, projected to nearly double from $12.7 billion to almost $25 billion by 2033. Japan's not far behind either, said to hit over $19 billion. But the real story of rapid acceleration, It comes from India.
I was waiting for this one.
Right. This country is seeing the fastest growth globally,
Mhm.
rocketing from just under $7 billion in 2021 to over $15.4 billion by 2033. That's an incredible CAGR of over 7.3%.
7.3%. That's massive.
It is. And we also see exceptional performance from Singapore, Southeast Asia, and the rest of APAC, too. It's really buzzing.
That growth in India is just, it's incredible. But what's most significant, I think, is what it suggests. It suggests that rapidly industrializing economies aren't necessarily just following the old, carbon-heavy paths of development. Instead, countries like India appear to be maybe leapfrogging older, polluting industrial models, investing directly into advanced green infrastructure and sustainable processes.
So skipping a step almost.
Kind of. It's not just about cleaning up afterwards. It's about laying a new foundation for growth that is inherently greener from the start. It presents a really fascinating model, potentially, for global sustainable development.
That's a crucial insight. Potential new blueprint. Okay, moving south then. Let's explore South America. This market's growing steadily, from over $6.6 billion in 2021 to nearly $14.4 billion by 2033. A solid CAGR, almost 6.9%.
Still very strong growth.
Very strong. Brazil is dominant here, projected to reach over $4.3 billion by 2033. But what's truly remarkable are Argentina and Colombia. They're showing CGR figures over 7.6%.
Wow, even higher than India's overall rate.
Yeah, essentially doubling their market size by 2033.
South America's strong growth, especially in places like Argentina and Colombia, it points towards increasing policy implementation around environmental protection. That seems likely,
Yeah.
particularly in resource-rich nations that are dealing with the impacts of, say, agriculture and mining.
Right, the extractive industries.
Exactly. So it's likely driven by a combination of new domestic regulations, maybe international pressures too, related to sustainable resource management. And that leads to significant investments in things like water treatment, sustainable land use.
Yep.
You get the picture.
Got it. Okay, next up, the Middle East. This region, starting at over $3.7 billion in 2021, is set to reach over $6.3 billion by 2033. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are leading this market, with the UAE 6EHR standing strong at nearly 5%. We also see stable growth from others like Egypt, Turkey, Qatar.
Yeah, the growth in the Middle East, I think, is deeply influenced by these really ambitious national visions. They're increasingly integrating sustainability into their long-term economic diversification plans.
Like the big futuristic city projects.
Exactly. Think about those massive smart city projects, the new industrial zones. They're often being built with modern environmental safeguards and advanced waste management systems right from the ground up. That drives demand for specialized, high-tech equipment. It's really a strategic investment in sort of future-proofing their economies.
Makes sense. And finally, let's look at Africa. This continent reflects a consistent rise, from nearly $2 billion in 2021 to over $4 billion by 2033. It's sustaining a TAGR of nearly 5.8%, right on the global average. Nigeria is projected to reach over $0.75 billion, and South Africa is growing to over $1.3 billion by 2033.
That consistent growth across Africa, including key economies like Nigeria and South Africa, it really underscores a kind of universal commitment to environmental protection. Even if the scale differs region to region, when we look at all these regions together, it becomes pretty clear. There's a definite global push towards environmental responsibility. And it's driven by both compliance needs and this sustainability-focused innovation.
A dual engine.
Yeah. It's a powerful signal that countries worldwide aren't just reacting to environmental challenges anymore. They seem to be proactively adopting cleaner technologies, upgrading infrastructure, committing to higher standards. This isn't just some niche market. It feels like a foundational shift in how the world is addressing its environmental future.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you navigate this, rapidly changing world? The core takeaway seems pretty clear. The environmental protection equipment market isn't just about selling machinery, not at all. It's a really powerful reflection of a massive global commitment to a more sustainable future. And this growth, as we've seen, it's driven by both necessity, the undeniable challenges of pollution and resource scarcity, and also incredible innovation in how we tackle those challenges.
Yeah.
It really is a powerful economic indicator of a worldwide green transformation.
Indeed. What this deep dive truly reveals, I think, is how economic data can be a kind of looking glass, a way to see the evolving values of societies and the shifting priorities on a global scale. It's not just about the dollars and cents, is it? It's about the tangible investments being made to address really pressing environmental issues. It signals this collective move towards, hopefully, a healthier planet.
A looking glass, I like that.
And think about what this rapid expansion implies, for future job markets, for technological breakthroughs, maybe even for international relations as nations collaborate more on these shared challenges. Lots to consider.
Exactly. It's fascinating to see how these numbers tell a story of global engagement and proactive change, often in unexpected ways, like that Indian leapfrogging example. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you a quick, thorough understanding of this vital and rapidly expanding market. And remember, all the robust data we've unpacked today comes courtesy of Cognitive Market Research. We definitely encourage you to continue your own exploration of these vital topics.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, the really dynamic world of environmental protection equipment.
Yeah.
We're talking filtration systems, wastewater plants, all that tech. It's a crucial sector, honestly, fundamentally reshaping how industries look at global sustainability.
Absolutely.
So our mission today, let's unpack the forces shaping this market, what's driving it forward, what's holding it back, and maybe the most exciting part, what trends are defining its future. Understanding this stuff is kind of a shortcut to getting smart about a really vital area of environmental progress.
And it couldn't be more relevant right now, could it? I mean, with environmental challenges just escalating everywhere, the innovation, the application of these technologies,
Yeah.
it's becoming absolutely central.
Central to how everyone responds, yeah. Industries, governments, it connects right to the planet's health, long-term economic stuff.
Exactly. The bigger picture.
So, okay, let's unpack this. First up, the big pushes. What's really driving this market forward?
Well, the primary driver, and you really can't overstate this one, is the worldwide implementation of tougher and tougher environmental regulations.
Right, the rules.
Yeah, governments, agencies, they're getting serious about tackling air, water, soil pollution. They're mandating industries meet these really strict compliance standards.
So industries have to invest.
They basically have to, yeah, in advanced pollution control, waste treatment, emission-reducing tech. And look, it's not just about wanting to do good. There's a big risk factor.
Fines. Shutdown.
Exactly. Fines, inspections, even operational shutdowns. It makes environmental compliance just a necessity,
Yeah.
not just, a responsibility on a checklist.
Okay, that makes sense. The stick, the regulation. But here's where it gets interesting for me. What about the carrot? Public opinion, corporate image.
Oh, that's huge. A really powerful second growth catalyst. You've got this rising public awareness, right, and this growing emphasis on corporate sustainability goals.
People care more.
They really do. Consumers are way more environmentally conscious. That pressure, it's felt right in the boardrooms. Companies know it.
You see it in their pledges.
Absolutely. Bold pledges. Carbon neutrality, zero discharge goals, zero waste targets. And that directly accelerates demand for efficient air purification systems, wastewater treatment plants, solid waste recycling equipment. It's all connected.
So environmental performance is now part of the brand.
Totally. It's become a key pillar of brand perception and financial performance, too, actually.
And what about global development? How does that factor in?
Well, that's the third big driver. You've got rapid industrialization, urbanization, especially in emerging economies.
Like India, China.
Exactly. India, China, Brazil, parts of Africa. These places are seeing, increased pollution just from building stuff. Infrastructure, construction, rising energy demand.
More activity, more pollution.
Right. So to mitigate those side effects, investment in environmental tech is growing steadily there. Governments, the private sector, they're realizing they need to balance economic progress with, environmental stewardship. It's becoming crucial.
Okay, so strong drivers. Regulations, public pressure, global growth. But every market has its hurdles. What's holding this one back? What are the challenges?
Yeah, there are definitely challenges. The major restraint, it's got to be the high capital and operating costs, installing this stuff, maintaining it. It's expensive.
The initial price tag.
That's a big part of it. Advanced filters, sophisticated monitoring systems. The initial investment is often pretty steep. And then you add the ongoing costs. Energy to run it, skilled labor to operate and fix it, continuous upkeep. It adds up.
And that puts off smaller companies.
Exactly. It deters a lot of small and mid-sized enterprises, SMEs.
Yeah.
They might want to adopt these solutions, but the cost is just prohibitive sometimes.
That makes sense. What else? Are there other maybe external vendors?
Well, yeah. Another challenge is the slow rate of adoption in some places, particularly regions where governance is weak or there's a big informal industrial sector.
Meaning rules aren't enforced.
Pretty much. Without proper enforcement of environmental laws, businesses might just prioritize saving costs in the short term over sustainability. It makes sense from their perspective sometimes, but it limits the market's penetration in those areas.
Right. And for businesses that already have factories, infrastructure, what
Yeah.
are the technical hurdles if they want to upgrade?
That's a really good point. It's the complexity of integrating modern equipment with, you know, legacy systems, old pipes, old layouts.
Retrofitting sounds complicated.
It often is. It can mean downtime for the plant, which costs money. It might need design overhauls. And you definitely need specialized workforce training to run the new gear.
So it's not just plug and play.
Not usually, no,
Yeah.
especially for older, established sites. And that complexity definitely deters quick implementation, particularly in maybe more remote or underdeveloped industrial hubs where getting that specialized support is harder.
Okay, so we got the drivers, we've got the restraints. Let's pivot to the exciting part, maybe, the key trends. What's transforming the future here? What's coming down the pike?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. A big one is the growing demand for intelligent and automated systems. Things are getting smarter.
Like IoT, AI.
Exactly that. Integrating the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, real-time monitoring. So think sensors in a wastewater plant that instantly flag weird chemical levels.
Hmm.
Or AI predicting when a filter needs maintenance before it breaks down.
Moving from reactive to proactive.
Precisely. Companies want actionable insights like, right now, air pollution data, wastewater levels, whatever it is. So predictive maintenance, automated compliance alerts, remote diagnostics, these are becoming standard features, not just nice-to-haves.
Okay, smarter systems. If we connect that to the bigger picture, like global sustainability, how are companies thinking differently about waste itself?
Well, that raises a really important shift, doesn't it? We're seeing a major move towards renewable thinking and circular economy practices.
Circular economy. So reusing things, not just getting rid of waste.
Exactly. Moving beyond just end-of-pipe solutions, like a filter on a smokestack. It's about designing systems to eliminate waste in the first place, or reuse resources in these continuous loops.
So finding value in what used to be discarded.
Yes. Companies are actively looking for tech that not only mitigates the environmental hit, but actually reclaims value. So things like energy recovery systems, grabbing heat or gas, zero-emission setups, really sophisticated water recycling units, turning wastewater back into usable water.
So it's not just about ticking the compliance box anymore.
Not at all. It's really shifting towards optimization, true sustainability, and, long-term efficiency for the whole operation.
It's a really powerful shift. But this kind of advanced tech, the smart systems, the circular stuff, it sounds like it could still be out of reach for smaller players or maybe sites in really remote areas. Is that changing?
That's a fair question, and actually there's a really cool trend addressing that. It's the growing traction of portable and modular environmental solutions.
Portable,
Yeah.
modular, like smaller, movable units.
Yeah, exactly. Think lightweight, flexible systems. You can deploy them at temporary sites like construction projects or remote industrial locations without needing massive permanent infrastructure changes.
Sort of like plug and play environmental protection.
That's a great way to put it. Plug-and-play units for air filtration or wastewater management. Quick to set up, movable. This innovation is genuinely opening doors for smaller companies, for under-resourced regions, to get access to reliable environmental tech quickly and, crucially, affordably.
That sounds like a big step for like environmental equity almost.
It really is. It helps level the playing field. So if you look at the overall trajectory, as the world keeps prioritizing environmental responsibility, and it seems clear that it is the demand for this advanced, cost-effective, intelligent environmental protection equipment is just set to accelerate, really pick up steam.
Driven by all those things we talked about.
Whether it's the regulations pushing or consumer expectations pulling or just the reality of industrial growth needing better solutions, the market's definitely moving forward and moving forward with purpose, I'd say.
That's a great way to put it, purpose. So here's something to leave you, our listener, thinking about. What stands out to YU about this future? Consider how these tech advances, this smarter equipment, might not just fix current problems, but maybe fundamentally reshape our whole relationship with industry, with resources, making sustainability, just an inherent part of how we grow economically rather than something we tack on afterwards. What does that future look like to you?